This is the NCN 6 o'clock news. The Constitution Amendment Bill of 2009, which seeks to establish a parliamentary select committee on national security, is being intensely debated in the National Assembly after there is still a disagreement on a number of teething issues. The bill is one of the recommendations that came out of the National Stakeholders Consultation with President Barrow Jagdeo last year. Edward Lane just returned from the National Assembly.
The bill was tabled by Attorney General Dudnot Singh last Thursday and was read for the second time today and seeking parliamentary guidance on issue of national security. But despite being before the Parliamentary Management Committee for over 8 months, the PNCR are still calling for the deferral of the bill until two major issues are sorted out. Winston Murray, in his debate, said his party in the past compromised on many areas in the legislation but will not on this particular piece, saying there is need for further consultations. Government has proposed that the Prime Minister head the committee, which did not go down well with the PNCR, who argued that an opposition chair is necessary because of the proposed mandate of the body.
My respectful plea to this National Assembly today, sir, is that we make the necessary effort, that we draw upon our reservoirs of the primacy of national matters of national importance, and that we sit and if need be spend hours and try to reach a consensus.
But Murray's argument was met with a serious criticism from Presidential Advisor on Governance Gail Teixeira, who said the legislation has been on the back burner for too long. She believes that it is now time to move on with business. She added that there was no rush in the tabling of the bill since the opposition was informed since November last of the administration's intention to table the legislation.
That we sincerely hope that the opposition will recognize that this is a courageous and bold step on behalf of all of us, and that the support for this bill will allow us now to go into discussions at the PMC on trying to fine-tune the motion that will come before this House.
When passed, this bill will establish the Parliamentary Sectoral Committee for National Security, which will be directly overlooking the operation of the disciplined forces. Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
The private sector is being urged to capitalize on opportunities that will be available through the recently signed GT&T and Telesur agreement for a fiber optic submarine cable system. President of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Chandradat Chintamani, believes that this will generate significant benefits.
$1 million contract between GT&T and Surinamese communication company Telesur provides for a new fiber optic system which will improve telecommunications capacity. In this regard, the private sector is being urged to fully utilize the infrastructure to develop the local services sector.
We can expand Guyana in terms of setting up call centers. For more call centers, we can set up shared service units. Labor cost in Guyana is predominantly cheap compared to other markets. So it is an opportunity that we can create in Guyana using the facilities that recently engaged the two countries of Guyana and Suriname.
Mr. Chintamani says this is also an avenue to encourage more foreign investments in Guyana.
Let's look at the developed world. Instead of they employing people to do all the back office work, the processes of transaction, posting of vouchers, bank reconciliation, sales invoice, etc., those transactions can be done in another market where the services are available at a cheap price, and they just pay for that service. So that, by extension, allows foreign currency to enter those markets where the services are provided.
He believes that it will also open up more employment opportunities in voice and data communication services.
And again, if you can have uninterrupted, cheap movement of data and voice communication, data communication, again, other businesses can establish call centers right here in Guyana, which can employ hundreds of people at fairly competitive rates.
Mm-hmm.
And in some news just coming to hand, it has been agreed that $515 billion is needed annually to develop a clean energy infrastructure and move towards a global low carbon economy. Experts at the World Economic Forum on the report warns that unless this amount is set aside annually between now and 2030, carbon emissions will reach a level deemed unsustainable. This, they say, will cause the effects of climate change to intensify with more flooding, rise in temperature levels, among others. This is part of the open discussions at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, at which CARICOM is represented by President Barra Jagdeo. Mr. Jagdeo is making a presentation on Friday on avoided deforestation. The Georgetown Public Hospital kidney transplant team will be conducting clinic at its surgical outpatient department on Saturday. The hospital administration is advising persons with kidney ailments to obtain a medical report for submission. Persons are also required to present other relevant medical and personal data to the health officials. Minister of Housing and Water Irfan Ali says plans are on stream to improve the quality of water provided to households and boost conservation efforts. Here are details.
The Housing and Water Ministry is moving to enforce regulations which will govern the way GWI administers the delivery of water. Minister Ali says this plan will be implemented over a specified period to avert cases of leaks and contamination. He notes that there are also plans to increase the number of metered customers and develop an alternative mechanism for those without meters. The minister says GWI has been affected by wastage due to breakages and leaks. He notes that businesses have been advised to use alternative sources of water, however only few have complied.
Now, we're not against any of these things. Let us be clear. Let us be clear with you on this. GWI position has always been, we want to encourage entrepreneurship. That is a policy of the government, to encourage and stimulate entrepreneurship. However, it must be done in a very structured and confined way.
Minister Ali says there are several interventions to improve water supply to new housing schemes in Region 3. These include a new water treatment plant at Parfit Harmony, which is expected to benefit some 10,000 customers. Ernestine Jagnaran reporting for the NCR News.
Education Minister Sheikh Bashk has commissioned the primary and nursery school at Tain and the All Saints Primary, both at Region 6. According to the minister, the new Tain state-of-the-art nursery and primary school costs some $33 million. The nursery school will house some 112 students and 7 teachers, while the primary accommodates 60 pupils, teachers, a library and a computer laboratory. Meanwhile, parents were urged to get involved in their children's education. During the last year, 23 new schools were constructed as part of the government's commitment to raise the education level.